The US and Japan intend to hold Russia accountable for its invasion of Ukraine, the US president said during talks with the Japanese Prime Minister in Hiroshima. According to the American media, Joe Biden seeks to coordinate the positions of the G7 leaders in terms of support for Ukraine and security in the Indo-Pacific region.
We face one of the most complex environments in recent history, security environments. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm proud that the United States and Japan are facing it together. And, we stand up for the shared values, including supporting the brave people of Ukraine as they defend their sovereign territory, and holding Russia accountable for its brutal aggression.
At the G7 summit, both Japan and the United States will defend a free and open international order based on the rule of law.
According to the American publication Politico, the G7 is developing a new strategy for anti-Russian sanctions. It is designed to block loopholes for Moscow to circumvent restrictions through third countries. Voice of America cites an American official who, on condition of anonymity, said that they are talking about Chinese companies caught selling dual-use goods to Russia. First of all, semiconductor technologies. The US and its allies have said that there is no evidence that China has supplied military equipment to Russia. Analysts are sure that this indicates that the friendship between Moscow and Beijing has certain limits.
There is only one approach. China should not help Russia bypass sanctions, and even if sanctions are imposed to restrict China's trade, it will be painful for the world economy, but nevertheless it will be decided on, unless China does something extraordinary in terms of persuading Russia to withdraw its troops from Ukraine.
Shortly before the G7 meeting in Hiroshima, China held naval exercises involving warships near Japan. This caused the anxiety of the leaders of the G7 countries. Tokyo fears that due to the aggressive actions of Beijing, East Asia is under the threat of a military imbalance. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Tokyo is afraid of a similar scenario from China.
To remind, there was a similar situation during the Korean War in the 1950s, when there was a direct connection with what was happening in Europe. NATO countries were afraid that the Korean War was a Russian-Soviet-Chinese provocation in order to suddenly attack Europe. If Russia gets some results for itself, then China will receive a signal that this is possible.
American military personnel are already based in Japan to ensure security. The allies announced a significant strengthening of military relations between Tokyo and Washington. We are talking about the deployment in Japan of new units of the US Marine Corps. The country is planning to build a military base for American fighters, according to Japanese media. At the same time, the G7 countries still do not intend to abandon negotiations with Beijing. Reported by Roman Smoler, Christina Dombrovska, UATV News.